Hello. You've been told that two men invented calculus, Newton and Leibniz. They get the statues, the textbooks, the credit, and they earned it. They built the machine. At the heart of that machine, the dangerous, beautiful one, was already 2,000 years old when they were born. And the man who first held it didn't use it for physics. He used it to reason about the edge of existence itself. So, what if Aristotle invented calculus? Watch Nodu. He wants the cookie. A simple goal. But I'm going to add one rule. To reach it, he must first cross half the distance. Reasonable enough. And then half of what remains, and then half of that, and half of that, forever. His steps get smaller and smaller and smaller, and he never arrives. This is Zeno's paradox, and by its logic, motion is impossible. You can never get anywhere because there's always another half to cross first. And yet, somehow, you crossed a whole room to sit down and watch this. So how? Let's actually add up his steps. A half, plus a quarter, plus an eighth, plus a 16th. Watch the total. 0.5, 0.75, 0.875. It climbs, and it closes in on exactly 1. Infinitely many steps, adding up to one single room, crossed. The infinite regress has an end. We call it a limit. That's the whole secret. A limit is a value you get arbitrarily close to without ever needing to land on it. Every derivative, every integral, every piece of calculus ever written stands on that one idea. In a small confession, a Greek named Archimedes got so close to real calculus, slicing shapes into endless slivers to measure them, that when his lost notebook resurfaced 2,000 years later, mathematicians actually gasped. Before Newton is older than you think. Now keep your eye on this. Here is a curve. Almost everywhere it's perfectly ordinary, but at one single point, it breaks. The formula there becomes 0 divided by 0. Undefined. A hole in the graph. And yet, sneak up on that hole from the left and from the right, and the curve heads straight for a value. You can know exactly what belongs in that hole without ever being allowed to stand in it. Remember that picture. You reach the neighborhood, not the point. It's going to explain the universe. 2,000 years before any of this had symbols, one man saw the trick underneath it. Aristotle. And he drew a line that changed everything. The difference between an actual infinity and a potential one. A completed infinity, an infinity you actually finish, he said, is a fantasy. It never happens. But a potential infinity, always one more step, always one more cut, never finished, that is real. Nodu never takes infinitely many steps. He takes a few, and there's always room for one more. The line to the cookie isn't actually chopped into infinite pieces. It's just potentially divisible forever. The infinite is something you approach, never something you complete. That is the seed of the limit. Now, let's be honest, because this channel doesn't lie to you. Aristotle never wrote a derivative. Show him dy dx, and he'd hand it back politely. He did not invent calculus, the machine. But the idea that makes the machine run, taming the infinite by reaching toward a boundary instead of completing it, that was already burning in his head. The statues are just in the wrong square. And here's where it stops being about math. Because this exact shape, an endless regress that only makes sense because of a limit, is hiding inside the biggest questions humans have ever asked. Watch it appear 3 times. 1. Causes. Everything that changes is changed by something else. Back and back and back. Aristotle said that chain can't regress forever, or nothing would actually be moving. It needs a first mover, one that isn't itself moved. Sound familiar? It's a limit. The chain points to something the chain doesn't contain. 2. Knowledge. Nodu believes something. Why? Because of another thing. And why that? Because of another. And that? But why? But why? But why? This is the oldest nightmare in philosophy. To justify any belief, you need a reason, which needs a reason, which needs a reason, forever. The philosophers gave it a grand name, the trilemma. Your reasons either go in an infinite circle or chase their own tail, or they stop. On a foundation, a first principle that doesn't need anything underneath it. And Aristotle's answer? The same move. Again. Real knowledge, he said, can't be proven all the way down forever. It has to rest on first principles you grasp directly, not proven from something earlier, just seen. The chain of reasons, like the chain of causes, like the steps to the cookie, ends in something that is not another link. And now look at the 3 of them, side by side. The steps, the causes, the reasons, the same picture. And just as that infinite sequence of steps is held up by a limit, a value that is not one of the steps, the causes are held up by a first mover that is not another cause, and your knowledge is held up by a first principle that is not another belief. A limit is just the mathematics of a foundation. Aristotle was doing calculus on reality. Which brings us, finally, to the edge of everything. Existence has a boundary, and that little hole in the graph is the truest picture of it ever drawn. Now, careful, because here the textbooks get sloppy. Aristotle himself thought the universe had no beginning at all. He believed it had simply always existed. His boundary wasn't a first moment. It was the edge of the chain of causes, the unmoved mover, and he reasoned about it exactly like a limit. He never claimed to stand at the source. He read what the neighborhood demanded. He read the edge without crossing it. It was later thinkers, and strangely, modern physics, who took that same move and aimed it at time itself, at the beginning. And here the whole becomes literal. You cannot ask what came before the beginning, because there is no before, no time, no matter. Matter couldn't exist before matter began. Time couldn't tick before time. Asking what's at the origin is like demanding the value inside the whole. The point is forbidden, but the neighborhood, the approach, you can read it, just like a limit. And that is the secret this whole episode has been circling. Calculus, the argument for a first cause, the foundation of all human knowledge. They are the same move, reasoning your way with perfect rigor right up to a boundary you are never allowed to cross. And Nodu, poor Nodu, who has spent this entire video failing to reach things. The cookie he never caught, the bottom of why he never hit, the first cause he kept grabbing at. He finally understands the thing the Greeks understood. You don't have to stand on the point to know it. You can approach the limit. You can read the edge. The boundary was never a wall of ignorance. It's the one place you can think all the way up to. And the cookie? The moment he stops trying to cross infinite halves, he just reaches out and takes it. Turns out the limit was within arm's reach the whole time. So I'll leave him here. At the edge of the graph, which is the edge of the cosmos, gazing at the one luminous point that mathematics and metaphysics and knowledge itself all lean toward, and none of them can stand on. So, who invented calculus? Newton built the engine, Leibniz built the language, but the idea that you can reason to the very edge of what can be reached, that was already old. Maybe calculus was never really about math. Maybe it was always about how to think at the edge of everything. Good night, Nodu.